We recently reported that the Nikon Z9 II would be announced in Q4 of 2025. Is Nikon facing delays? Well, they're not the only one. The Sony A75 was to be announced this quarter, but we're now hearing that it's getting delayed. How much is the delay? Well, I'll answer these questions in this video. But first, I have a simple and yet humble request. Please subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps this channel grow, and it keeps you informed on the latest camera gear. According to Andrea Pizzini at CP+, behind closed doors, Sony stated that they could show the A75 by the end of 2025 and release it in 2026 in ideal conditions. And those ideal conditions means that supply chains are undergoing serious corrections because most photo manufacturers are leaving China due to high tariffs that are being placed on parts that are made in China. Every manufacturer is moving factories to places like Vietnam, Thailand, or South Korea. And there are serious delays in implementing something new. But Sony did say that the A75 will get a new sensor and will be a pretty interesting camera. Nothing else was said. I'm sorry, but I don't buy this excuse. It's an oversimplification. It's a half-truth at best. You see, LLCs have been moving out of China for the past 10 years for various reasons. And the recent round of tariffs, while having an impact, are just the latest in a steady stream of reasons for the exit of foreign plants. Firms first started leaving China stating higher labor rates, moving to Vietnam, India, Thailand, the Philippines, South Korea, and other Southeast Asian countries. Then in 2020 to 2022, China shut down several cities or manufacturing areas, and that accelerated firms exiting from China. And then in 2024, early 2024, passing anti-espionage laws was the final straw for many. So while the latest round of tariffs are probably having an impact, firms have been exiting China for the past 10 to 15 years for various reasons. And usually what happens is they plan their exit. They decide to, set up a new plant in India or wherever else in the world, South Korea, Vietnam, Cambodia. And once that plant is fully up and running and they've got goods coming out, only then do they shut down other plants. Now, between 2020 and 2022, we had some, external environmental factors that immediately forced down production, leaving companies with, no backup plans because all their production was in China. And with those places shut down, they couldn't get the parts. They couldn't get the products out the door. It was a big problem. But everything else, since 2022, with markets opening up, things getting back to normal, I sense there's something else that's going on. I sense it's poor planning, poor communications within these companies. I sense that something else is going on. There's some sort of endemic problem. For the past 40, 50 years, since the 70s, production has been going along and humming quite well. Things have been working well with existing processes within these companies. But I think a little bit of rot has gotten in there. I think that there's far too many processes, there's far too many, perhaps, people, and they're not properly planning because Canon, Nikon, Ford, Toyota, none of these large multinational companies are going to start building a plant in Thailand or India and then just stop producing in China and just wait and wait and wait. They're going to start building a plant in India, Thailand, or other parts of the world, and only once that plant is fully up and running will they switch production. No, something else is going on. All those shutdowns, all those issues, they were left behind in 2022. That was over 2 years ago. We're now leaving the first quarter of 2025 and about to go into the second quarter in just 2 weeks. I don't know what's going on, but all the camera manufacturers are citing delays constantly. Canon, Nikon, Sony. Something's going on here, and these latest round of tariffs, that's not the reason. There's something else going on. And I really believe it has to do with poor planning in logistics and communication and other parts of the corporations. because a major move, is foreseeable. And of course, tariffs. Well, there's always a chance of trade restrictions. That's something a company that's multinational has to factor in, along with exchange rates. These are things out of your control, but things that you can hedge against. What do you think? Am I completely off base here? Is it related to tariffs? Or have these companies been doing a pretty bad job of, well, planning? We reported that the Nikon Z9 Mark II would be announced in Q4 of 2025, and we've been saying that for a couple of months now. Well, it now looks like there's some, well, confirmation, at least from Nikon Rumors, stating that a development announcement is likely in late 2025 and likely shipping in early 2026. Almost sounds like a copy and paste from the Sony A75, doesn't it? That's why I decided to put both of these topics in the same video, because it talks about delays. Now with the Nikon Z9 Mark II, this isn't so much of a delay as a planned, well, announcement. We're looking at about 4 years since the Nikon Z9 came out, and it was announced in late October. But there's something interesting about what Nikon Rumors is saying. The language. They say likely a lot. Let's take a look at the language. Notice how Nikon Rumors says confirmed upcoming cameras? Perhaps they're just saying that the Nikon Z9 II is a confirmed upcoming camera. And that's it. Nothing else. Because the language after that, well, doesn't appear confirmed. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the word likely in there. The Nikon Z9 II, most likely in 2026? Maybe a development announcement in late 2025? It doesn't sound like anything is really confirmed there. Nothing. I mean, okay, so they're confirming that the Nikon Z9 Mark II is coming out. Well, duh, we all know that, right? But in terms of time frame, they're not really confirming anything. I kind of wonder, because that information that they're reporting on is exactly what I've said over the last couple of months. I'm wondering if I'm the source, but I'm not being cited. I don't know. Again, this is not coming from me, it's coming from my sources, and I spoke to this same source not too long ago, and they pretty much doubled down on it's probably a Q4 announcement with it could ship in late Q4. We've seen this happen before, where around, I think it was the Nikon Z9 II, it started shipping. It was either Boxing Day, December the 26th, or Christmas Eve. I think it was Christmas Eve on the 24th, and then firmware updates started on, I think, January the 5th, 6th, or 7th. So it's not completely uncommon that we could see it announced late in this year and then start shipping in early next year. But with, I guess, what, the better part of a year away, I mean, we're looking at, so even late October, early November, that would mean that's something like 8 months away, and things could change. As I talked about with the Sony, there's a lot of companies saying, yeah, sorry, we're going to have to delay it. Or they're just delaying things. Information is coming out, things are getting delayed. Either they're finding bugs and they want to fix issues, or they're having problems securing parts, or they're having problems manufacturing, or they're having problems with who knows what. There's not much I can do about it. It's not much you can do about it. And I know it's frustrating. You would think by now, whatever caused the problems that we had in 2020 should have been, well, fixed and taken care of. I still get a sense that there's some logistic issues going on here, that there's some poor communications and planning within these organizations, and the operational efficiencies aren't quite there, and that's maybe something that needs to spend some time on. But I also understand that the competition is very, very strong. Look at the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, the Nikon Z8, the Sony A7, or the Alpha 1 Mark II, the A9 III. There's some really incredible cameras out there, and they're pushing the limits. We're seeing dynamic range with 16 plus stops stated on the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, which translates into about 13.5 stops in the real world through independent testing. We're seeing some incredible numbers here. And this is pushing technology. Why are we getting the delay? The delays? I don't know. I do get a sense there's some problems with the operational efficiencies. I do get a sense that these companies are not, their risk management, their change management isn't up to par. Because while I understand certain impacts, such as all that stuff that caused the problems in 2020. And I can't mention it because still it can affect how Google monetizes this video, but you all know what I'm talking about. That pretty much ended in 2022, but with the delays constant, I get a sense something else is going on. But anyhow, it's a bit of a frustration, and I get it. So either way, a lot of the rumored expectations for the first half of 2025, does this sound familiar? Like 2024, we had a lot of expectations for the first half, and a lot of things got delayed until June, then July, and then in the fall. Seems like 2025 is going in the same direction, although we do have a big announcement for Canon on the 26th. We're seeing the Canon EOS RV, the EOS R50V, and the PowerShot, and a series of lenses. These aren't pro-level cameras. These are what we call entry-level, compact, or entry-level APS-C cameras, and this is something to watch. Not a lot of us paid a lot of attention to the Fujifilm X100V when it came out, but it sold out like crazy. I was unprepared for that. The previous one hardly got any attention, so I thought, well, I'll ignore that one. There's really not a lot of information around it. It's not going to do well, and everywhere it's sold out. Then we had the Ricoh GR3, same thing. It's done very, very well. And I get a sense from what I'm seeing that everything is kind of moving into a perfect storm to see that at least two of these three cameras to perform very, very well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have yourself a great day, a great week, and we'll see you again soon.